Hi everybody, Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. Sitting here in the tiny house on wheels with Felix the cat here. He's a lover of a cat. He's getting huge, my Felix. Baby's coming to say hi. I just want to give you a tiny house update. It's been a long time since I've shown you around the tiny house on wheels and given you a complete going over here and an overview of everything we've been doing here in the tiny house. We, meaning me, you, and the cats. Baby, come on. Baby cat is doing what she does best. Baby, stop. Nope, now I scared Felix. So, now Felix, don't you get any ideas? Nope, Felix saw a squirrel. Anyway, it's been a while since we've done an update here in the tiny house on wheels, and a lot has happened since the last time I've showed you around. A lot has changed, a lot of work has been done in here, and a lot of reorganizing, rearranging, a lot of projects. I'm looking at shelving and a closet, which I've got to finish this winter, now that I have the cedar siding for that. But there are certain things, I know a lot of people wonder about my timing and the reasons for what I do, but I can't see working in the house during this unusually amazingly warm winter season. So the projects like working on the wiring and the electrical and finishing the interior are on hold until the weather turns, which I hope doesn't happen. I'm very pleased with this unusual weather. We've got 60 degrees going up to 67 degrees today. Unbelievable. So I'm very happy with this. Usually it should be like 20, 10, 15 degrees outside. Fahrenheit, by the way. Way below freezing. So I'm going to take you around on a walkthrough of the tiny house on wheels and show you what's happened in the meantime, what's changed, and what are some of the future plans for the tiny house. Completely reorganized the living room. You may remember I used to sit on the back wall here originally when I got this couch, and the Singer sewing machine was over here, and the table was, I think where it was, yeah, the table hasn't moved. But I have I have had, how many have I had in here? I think 8, 9, 10 people I can serve in this room. We had church this weekend at my house, and there was only 3 of us this weekend, but had, I think, up to 8 or 9, 10 people, I can't remember exactly, here in my tiny house living room. And the reason I built my tiny house a little bit wider is because I do have social gatherings here in my home. And a home should be comfortable and warm and cozy. And a home should serve your purpose. Many people want a narrow tiny house so they can pull it with a normal car. I wanted a wider tiny house so I can serve guests and have meetings here. So it has certainly worked, because what I do, I'll take the table away from the wall. First, when we have our church meeting, I'll drop the leaves of both leaves of the table and fold it off to the side, and I can set up chairs in here, and it's great. There's plenty of room. And then when we have dinner, I'll put up the leaves on the table and bring the table over to the couch, set chairs around it, and I can serve guests, and it's perfect. It really works out well. It's not too cramped and not too crowded, and it really is, I'm very pleased and satisfied with how it's turned out. So, looking around, I still have a lot of trim work to do, but that'll take time. Because, as I said, I want to use the good warm weather right now outside instead of indoors. So, let me give you a walk around, walk through the tiny house on wheels, and show you what's going on. First and most importantly, baby cat and Felix the cat. Baby, psst. Hey, ignorant. Baby, say hi to the camera. Come here. Say hi to the camera. There you go. Felix? Felix wants to say hi. So there's two cats in a tiny house on wheels. Felix has grown up. He's becoming huge, and he's a little lover. So I want to show you the living room and how it sits now. Forgive the clutter on the back. I still don't have a desk, so it's a little cluttered on the back shelf. But I'm still working. When I'm alone here, the table is a desk and an office. As you can see, the Singer sewing machine is an extension of my office now. So when I'm alone here, everything's an office. And The reason I haven't shown you around here in so long is because this has been a construction zone. Everywhere you look was tools and equipment and screws and bolts and fasteners and insulation and boards and everything. But not much has happened in the interior of the tiny house as far as trim work and stuff. But you can see I've reorganized the living room, and this works out better for meetings and having guests. So now the couch faces across from the LED TV, and that is not my big screen TV. I haven't yet brought that over here. But that way, if I have visitors and we can watch a movie sitting on the couch, that works out well. Whereas with the couch in the back wall, I couldn't figure out where to put the TV. If I ever wanted to have a movie with people or look at something on YouTube or whatever. So that, although it's not centered on the window on the back wall because of the wood stove, it is the best place I've found for it as far as convenience and comfort. And then I've got my little antique table there next to the couch. I bought that for $10 at a antique shop one day because the top is cracked a little bit, and one day I'm going to fix that up. But it's a beautiful little table. I love it. And that we actually use when we have meetings over here. And then over here is my table, which, as I explained earlier, we move out for dinners and for having meals and whatever. But otherwise, it's my office. And in the Singer sewing machine, which Melanie is excited to see, that is the foot-powered, the antique treadle-powered sewing machine, which still functions and everything is intact. And I got my color printer and my laser printer because I am running a business here. I have to have a fax, scanner, copier, and everything else. So there's the living room of the tiny house on wheels so far. It is 10 foot wide, outside dimensions. The inside dimensions are about 9 something. So probably about, I'm not exactly sure, I'll have to measure one day. But the interior dimensions are roughly around 9 feet because the walls are pretty thick. So it's cozy, it's comfy, and it serves me well. The temperature, as you've often seen, with just the wood stove now, is I maintain it a steady between 70 and 80 degrees. It is a drier heat, so it's not uncomfortable having it that warm in here. Now, it is 55 out today and rising. It is going to get warmer. So there's that. Oh, by the way, everybody thinks that's water stains. That is oil from the walls. I have oiled the walls. And the wall paneling, by the way, if some of you might not remember, some of you might be new to the channel watching this video, my paneling is made out of 2x4s that were out in the forest for 10 years, exposed to the elements, that I shaved on a table saw that I got for free last year. And it was beautiful. I thought they were garbage when I first got the wood, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I cut one open to make a 2x2, and I was going to use it for scrap wood, and I thought, that is so pretty. So I kept it. And now you got this beautiful salmon look. It looks like a slab of salmon sitting on a plate. So it's got a pinkish tint to it. So I'll show you the side view. I'm happy I didn't frame that in yet now, because then you can see the side of the paneling and see how thick it is. I shaved it to about 3/8 inch thickness on the table saw. I got by shaving off the outside rotted pieces and shaving off the ends, I would get 3 wider boards, and the ends turned inside out would give me 2 narrow boards. So I made this pattern using wide, narrow, and then 3 wides and a narrow, and I have the same pattern all the way down. So I really like it. It is unique. I don't think there's a single house in the entire world with the same color and texture of wood. And I did leave the saw cut marks on there for a little bit of a rustic and rugged look. So I do believe this is absolutely unique in the world with the color and texture of the wood here. It's quite beautiful. So moving around, I have the tiny house wood stove, which is keeping the tiny house warm. Forgive the cat toys in the bottom there. I do have a couple containers on top to put water into the air, humidity, moisture in the air. The metal sheet leaning on it was supposed to be a very nice heat shield I was going to make, but in my cleaning outside, cleaning up the yard, I accidentally threw away the other piece that I had so carefully taken apart and prepared, so now I don't have a full heat shield. But it is doing its job and keeping the walls from getting hot. That's all it takes, is a piece of metal that is air cooled from the bottom to keep your wood stove from heating up the walls. Now above it you can see I have some cranberries. Thanksgiving I bought some cranberries and they're slowly drying above the wood stove. Those were fresh cranberries and they're just slowly drying in the air, hanging from a board up above. And I went through my first year with plain black stovepipe, which was really hot, and it was really hard to keep the tiny house on wheels to a comfortable temperature because it is small and the wood stove is super efficient. I burn 1.5 cubic feet of wood in a 24-hour period, which is nothing. It's basically a nice hefty armload of wood is all I burn in a 24-hour period, even in the dead of winter. So it's very, very efficient. And actually later today I'll have the windows open because it'll get too hot in here, even with that damp down all the way. I do maintain a burn to keep the humidity down and to just to keep it going, and to keep a bed of ash in there, which helps insulate the stove and helps further reduce the amount of consumption of wood consumption. So recently, a lot of you have seen I bought a stainless steel pipe, the triple wall insulated stainless steel stovepipe. That was $200 investment, but it now reduces the need, or eliminates the need, to have a heat shield because it is cool to the touch and the wall behind it will never get hot. So that's an advantage, and it also keeps the stovepipe, the inner pipe, hot, which reduces creosote buildup. You want to have a hot chimney pipe to reduce creosote buildup. So now over here, by the way, there's my spring water. I haul in jugs of spring water for drinking. There is a spring about a half-hour drive away, and I go and fill up 5 6-gallon jugs, and I'll be doing that once a month. When Melanie's here, I'll be doing it twice a month, but that's my drinking water. I go through about a gallon a day of drinking water for me and the cats. Cats don't drink much, but hey. And then over here I have a little bit of a rustic corner with some antique newspaper clippings. World War II, I think it was. And I have my propane heater, my on-demand propane heater, which is right now off. Haven't had a pilot light on in there for a while, but it is great for times when I need to go away, or early winter and late spring when you just don't need the wood stove going all the time. It's just occasional cold nights. And that heater is amazing because you can set it to a certain temperature and forget it. Once you get used to the dial, it doesn't have a thermometer, but it's got a dial indicator to help you set your temperature range. And once you get used to what setting keeps your place warm, it will kick on and off on its own and maintain the temperature in here. So the tiny house kitchen is coming along nicely. Forgive the guns everywhere. It is hunting season ended yesterday. Let me close the curtain on the door so that you don't have the blinding effect of it. I do have a curtain on the door and on the well, sort of a curtain over my desk. I've got my coat rack here where I keep my coats. That was made out of barnwood. I did that last year. Still got a lot of work on the trim to do in here, so forgive me. And I haven't done the doors and the kitchen cabinets. But I built every single thing in here myself. All the cabinets, the framing, and everything myself in here. The kitchen countertop I built myself. Everything is secondhand as well. The wood I got for free, all recycled lumber, and it was a lot of work reclaiming that material. The door was free, the windows were free. As I show you around, the only thing that was new in this tiny house on wheels was the framing to build a house, and the roofing material and the insulation. So just the framing, the roofing, and the insulation, and of course the floor, which, by the way, I had received a lot of flack for it when I first did this a year ago, year and a few months ago now. I put down the underlayment and put shellac on it, and people were like, "You're crazy." Well, I've received compliments on how this floor has held up. It was meant to be temporary to show that it can be done on a budget. You can put down underlayment and use it as a floor, and it will hold up. And for a while I was even waxing it with all natural hand wax, floor wax, hand applied floor wax. But that is a lot of work, and being alone here, it was too much for me. But I don't wear outdoor shoes in the house. I wear slippers, slip-on shoes that never go outside, so that the floor doesn't really get worn out. So the shellac really held up, and shellac is an all-natural material. It's a excretion from bugs that crawl on trees in India, and it's mixed with, I think, alcohol, and it dissolves it, and you apply it to your floor, and it's an all-natural coating. So everything in here is all natural, and basically green and all natural, because the coating on the walls was done with mineral oil, hand applied with mineral oil. All the wood was reclaimed. The wood that I used to build my kitchen cabinets was pallet wood from some kind of little shipping crates, and the wood is absolutely beautiful when you plane it and expose the colors and the grains of the wood. So my entire kitchen is going to be done with this wood. The doors of the cabinets, and also the sides of the kitchen. There's a board that warped on me I have to replace, but that will happen when you use reclaimed lumber. You're going to have some issues getting it together, and I got some nails that broke. I have to fix some little things here and there, but you can see my kitchen. Let me turn on the light. I do have an overhead light, recessed LED lighting, all off eBay back in the day, and you can see my cabinets, and they're actually quite full, and I've been using them heavily, and they are rugged. I probably overbuilt, and I received a lot of criticism for that, but I don't care. I'd rather have them overbuilt and have them hold up than to have them fall apart one day. So I'm going to use the same wood, and I'm going to build my own doors on here, and I've got antique hinges and antique pulls that I bought off eBay that I will be using for the cabinets. I am going for a rustic look in the house through and through. So everything is all wood, all natural, and antique materials as much as I can. The OSB on the back of the kitchen walls was free, reclaimed shipping crates from small engine shop, and the sink and the stove were recycled secondhand materials. So everything's secondhand in my tiny house on wheels. Everything is functioning. I do have running water on demand now. I've had this for a while, so that works, and I've got a sprayer on there. Just finished washing dishes, matter of fact. Stove works well, all 4 burners, and it was professionally installed by a propane company. That is one thing that is not what you would call off the grid, is I do have propane, although I often cook outside with, actually I often cook on the tiny house wood stove. More than not, I use a Dutch oven and cook on the wood stove because it's free energy. It's just sitting there. I've got, actually, that's a water pot for tea and coffee, and the other pot is to put moisture into the air. So that is free energy. And then I have some survival stoves that I use outside. So the stove is mostly for serving guests and when we have people over, which, as I said, is quite often here in the tiny house on wheels. I built it for serving. So down underneath I have my food stash, and I will be putting doors, and I've got some slider rails for some drawers that I'll have over here, and I have all the antique hinges and pull knobs for all that. So then over here under the stairwell, I wanted a real stairway, okay? So I have real steps. I did not want a ladder, I wanted a real built-in stairwell. And underneath, I built myself somewhat of a pantry. I still got to finish the trim, and then I'll put the doors on there. Let me walk around this way. See, I've got a bit of a pantry right there for food. So every little bit of space counts in a tiny house on wheels. And then here I have a barnwood beam. A lot of rustic materials being used in the tiny house on wheels. And the barnwood beam is post. Sorry, I get my terms mixed up. The beam is originally I wanted to use barnwood for that, and I used 2x4s, doubled up, screwed and glued for strength to hold up my catwalk, my loft. But the barnwood post is a beautiful addition to the tiny house on wheels, I think. And eventually I'm going to cover this with barnwood as well, so it blends in and it has the appearance that I always wanted. Now, I love the fact that I had the idea to put my pots and pans. I use all stainless steel and cast iron cookware. For the most part, that one pot doesn't belong here. It belongs to my camping set. But anyway, all stainless steel and cast iron cookware. And Felix loves the stairway. He always says hi to me there when I'm in the kitchen. He likes to watch what I'm doing, and baby cat sits there and watches over everything from above. So the countertops were actually cast off scrap pieces left over from my paneling when I did the living room walls in the tiny house on wheels, and I just simply sanded them down. Oh boy, that was a job. Sanding them so they were all flush. It was all different thicknesses, and that was a serious job sanding all that down. And then I put varnish over top. It was the only thing, polyurethane varnish is the only thing I used in my tiny house to this point that was not all natural, not what you would call a green material. But I wanted a rugged, thick finish that would last, and I'm happy I did, because it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I do want to one day add some more layers, because the wood has also shrunk with time and caused some gaps to show. I guess that is to be expected with natural wood, even though it was 10 years aged at the time. Once you cut it open, it'll still continue shrinking. So I want to recoat this and fill in the gaps and really thickly varnish this one day. Problem with polyurethane is that, of course, it emits gases for a long time afterwards, and I just don't like that. So over here I have the electronics and charging system for the tiny house on wheels. Two solar charge controllers from Morningstar. They're both the TriStar brand model of solar charge controllers. I have a MPPT, maximum power point tracking charge controller, and a PWM, pulse width modulation, and then the connections down there, and everything is fused and protected underneath the kitchen counter. Everything goes into my main electronics control units over there. So in the bathroom, let me turn off the kitchen light. I am off the grid, so I'm trying to be sparing of my energy. The bathroom has a toilet from Airhead composting toilets. This is a almost zero energy composting toilet from Airhead toilets, and I will be doing another update video on that very soon. I am very well pleased with this. I've had it for, I think, going on a year now, and my guests have not been uncomfortable because it looks like a normal toilet, and all but not having a flushing mechanism, it acts like a normal toilet. So it's very convenient and comfortable, including for guests. Now the only energy used is I think it's like maybe a 1 watt or a half a watt fan that goes to a tube to the outside, which draws fresh air into the toilet through the composting chamber and into the outdoors, which then reduces and eliminates, I should say, any smells or odors that may come out. Although the only odor I've noticed from the composting toilet is a earthy-like decaying odor. So some of the walls in here are done, and again I decided to work outdoors rather than in, so I had stopped working on the walls in here. But you can see, if I can get a good view, the pallet wood walls and the porcelain and brass fixtures in here. I've got the toilet paper holder there, the porcelain brass towel hanger, and I'm using rough, unfinished pallet wood for the walls, and it gives a very rustic and beautiful sauna type look. I get a lot of compliments on this, by the way. The door was an antique barn type door that I recycled, and I have to one day figure somehow to match the color, because I had to actually trim it to fit my bathroom, and then I repositioned the frame piece so it would fit. So I have to figure a way to color that in one day. But I like it. I used an antique, or authentic antique door grip. I know I've got it upside down. I'll flip it over one day. And I actually have functioning latches for that and a lock mechanism that I want to actually install one day. So I studied how these antique door latches, it's got a thumb latch. The other one that I have a complete working door latch mechanism with a thumb button and an actual lock that I will install in here one day. And for now I just have the slider bolt for my guests' comfort and convenience. As you can see, the other wall is not yet done. My sink is reclaimed, and one day I'll put a new top on that. Whoa, the wind is blasting. Wow, we get like 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts blasting through here. So the sink is all, I got that for free, and I use homemade soap, by the way. I haven't purchased soap in 5-6 years, maybe. At least 5-6 years, I think, since I've purchased soap. I make my own soap now. I will be having a door on here one day, and the cat litter is down below, so the cats go to the bathroom in the bathroom, and a pallet wood medicine cabinet with a door, a LED light. As you can see, I'm not done with the wiring in here. Still a lot to do, and then I'll put the pallet wood on the walls. But the lamp I got for free. I have a matching set of these, and there was nothing wrong with them. I hooked them up to 12-volt wiring, and the switch works. So it's all there. I have a Durastall shower, which was a complete shower kit, and I got that, I think that was from Home Depot. Complete kit, including curtains and the fixtures and everything, all in one. So all you do is you install it, and right now I use a portable camping shower inside the shower stall until I finish insulating my shed outside, which holds my water tanks and my water heater and my solar powered battery banks. So there's the bathroom for you. And I like, by the way, I've left the appearance of the wood framing. I like the rustic look of the wood being exposed. So it's just me. I left that open, and that's the floor to the upstairs above. So pretty much that's the ground floor of the tiny house on wheels. Now I'll show you the reason I'm not going to take you upstairs is because it's unfinished, and I still to this day haven't even done the installation, but partly because it's so hot in here, even in winter months. The house is so well insulated, and you can see some of the exposed parts that I have to finish one day. I have layers here. There's behind the radiant foil is a air gap, and then behind that is an insulation, and then the exterior sheathing, and then exterior tar paper, and then eventually siding. And then there's an air gap on the inside of the radiant foil, and then there's the paneling. The bedroom I put OSB, and then there will be paneling on that. So the walls are very, very thick and very heavily insulated and really maintain the heat in here. The radiant foil reflects heat back into the tiny house and doesn't allow it to escape, making it a really, really efficient home. The upstairs, it consists of two 5x10 lofts connected by a catwalk, which is extending the width of the length of the house. And then I've got, this is the study and guest bedroom. So there's my study desk that I hope to be using one day soon. And it's going to be very cozy. You can stand up, you can walk bent over upstairs. Melanie will probably be able to run through here without bending down at all. So the catwalk, I have a board running up to the rafters above to help give support over here over the living room, because that was floating otherwise. And again, I left this rustic. Now I've got, I'll come back to the catwalk. I've got indirect LED lighting in the tiny house living room, which many of you have seen. But if you're new to this channel because of this particular video, you'll see that's all eBay, and it's beautiful. I really love it. I wanted a warm and cozy look in here with the wood, and it turned out well. So the catwalk is, if I remember right, about 3 to 3.5 foot wide, and runs in between the two lofts. And over here is the bedroom, and I'll give you a little bit of an update about what's going on up there. I'm not going to take you up there because both of the lofts are still under construction. So the catwalk and the upstairs loft, let me see if I can get a good view without blinding you from the window. I left an open construction so you can see from downstairs, sitting on the couch, you can see the upstairs. And I really wanted the open look. It makes a tiny house look so much bigger. And actually from here I can give you an update on the bedroom and what I've done so far. The bedroom area is fully insulated and has OSB sheathing on the inside, which will then be covered with paneling. The OSB was of course free. I have a window for ventilation on both sides. Both of them are usually open 24/7 and all year round because it is so warm in here, even in winter. I have a bookshelf made of barnwood, all reclaimed lumber that I built myself, and I'm pretty quickly filling up. And I've got a closet for my clothing over here that I built out of mostly recycled materials, again pallet crates and stuff. And I have free cedar wood that I'm going to be covering that with one day soon. And the bedroom is, well, it's, if I took out all the construction materials and everything, it could be usable now. So I'm hoping to have the place ready for Melanie when she arrives. So that would mean also after Christmas time, I'm finishing the insulation in the study, and then putting up the OSB, and then start on the paneling. And of course the ceiling. I haven't done the ceiling yet. So that's another project. That'll cost me about $300. It's one of the things I'm going to buy. Unless I find free wood for the ceiling, I'm not going to do that myself. It's one of the few things I'm going to buy, only because working upside down above your head is a lot of work. And I just don't want to deal with that so much, partly because of time. So oh yeah, one thing I keep forgetting I want to mention is the kitchen is 12 feet long from end to end. The kitchen runs exactly half of the length of the tiny house on wheels. The reason for that is I often have guests, and also when I cook I want to have space to move. I will not, it's just me, I will not work in a crowded kitchen. I end up getting too crowded, too uncomfortable, lazy, and just don't do it. I just won't cook, and I don't know why. I can't stand working in a tiny, cramped, and crowded kitchen, so I'll end up eating out of a bag like chips or something stupid. But right now I'm eating quite healthy, all natural foods, and a lot of organics. You might have seen I do have some snacks, but when those run out I won't be replacing them because I'm switching to all natural foods and trying to be healthier. So it is 12 feet long, the kitchen, and I also designed it with a stairwell so that you can pass Well, if somebody's standing at the kitchen counter, somebody else can pass by behind them if they need to get back into the corner and go back and forth. So the kitchen is 12 feet long, and then the living room is 12 feet long. So I'm really comfortable here, and it has served me well. Even though it's still a work in progress, the tiny house has served me very well. And I've also served many guests here, both YouTube visitors and church guests and friends. So that pretty much sums it up, I think. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. So that's the tiny house on wheels so far. And it is baby cat approved. Right, baby cat? Yeah. So Troy and baby cat and Felix from the Do-It-Yourself World, the Off-Grid Project, and the Tiny House on Wheels. Talk to you all later.